let's begin because everyone is on a tight schedule. We're talking about disruption in hospitality from the point of view of operators. We're not talking about day-to-day operations, but we're talking about those who are at the top of the game. So let's begin by saying India is still behind compared to the rest of the world. But what are you guys seeing, and what are the things that are really affecting the trade as far as disruption is concerned? Shall we begin with Vilas? Because your segment is also very prone compared to the luxury segment.
I think you're right there, Bikramjit. In our industry, which really operates in the mid-scale to budget economy, is definitely the disruptors and aggregators like Airbnb, Oyo, and many others out there are definitely something that guests are looking at, and we've been, and like Manav earlier just said that 8-10 years ago, it is something that we also very confidently felt that we will not. But having said that, I think one of the advantages that that a brand offers vis-a-vis, and I can speak that for all the other hotel companies also, is that the brand lends a certain level of standard security, which I don't think really can come with an Airbnb or Oyo room in terms of guarantees for that experience. Also, the hotel has an opportunity, and I think that's where the fight is really, who owns that guest? Is it the Airbnb or is it the hotel company on that? But I think that's very, very fast. And I did read somewhere also that Airbnb is also coming into the hotel space. They're actually investing into making hotels. And I think it's going to be a very, very interesting landscape, 4 to 5 years from now, how that pans out. But you're right. I mean, this is here to stay, and it's better to just kind of embrace it and see what best we can do.
Sanjay, you have launched a brand which is a bit of a disruptor in the luxury space. Andaz is very different from what luxury is always considered in this country. And has it been able to break the mold? How has the reception been? And do you think that is the way that luxury is going to go in this country?
I think Andaz has been in India accepted very, very well. It has been embraced by people here well. It was a great disruptor for us because if you look at it, it completely changed the perception of luxury as our guests would see it. You have today, guests coming in and asking, okay, where did you get the attire from? So it's like, it's not only earlier the employees or the associates would look at the guests, but here the guests are looking at what we are doing, even in fashion. So that way, I think that disruption was very, very welcome. And it's about being creative. And as Manav said, I think we need to learn from the disruptors. It's a great learning for us. It's just that big ships take some time to change course. But I think that learning has come, and the brands also realize that we need to be nimble, because it's all about time and how quick we can be. So I think that's the way forward. You guys operate all over the world. So where do you see the difference, and where do you see the challenges in the South Asia and India market compared to, say, in France or more traditional Accor markets, as far as disruption is concerned?
India is behind. I don't think that in terms of disruption, India is behind. Just look at the scene today with Oyo and Tribo in India, and the size and their development for the last few years, Airbnb as well. So I would not say that India is behind. To the contrary, it's very ahead in terms of who are the disruptors. And as well, if you look at the space given today to Ola and to Uber, this is what it is. Now, are they disrupting all of us at the same scale? I don't think so. Mala was talking earlier on about the Airbnb. Airbnb, we know then globally, and I'm not talking only about India, globally we know that Airbnb is only for a marginal number of customers. Still, many customers will not be happy to go in a stranger house and then not being able to be having someone on call to provide a service, because India is expecting a service still, and then in terms of security, comfort, consistency, and all that. So still many customers would not like it. But what we can say globally, because you're asking me a question globally, is 80% of our customers in Accor Hotel, they do stay less than 2 nights. 80% of our customers, they are staying less than 3 nights. And we know that Airbnb, it's more than 3 to to 5 people, and it's more than 3.5, and it's an average of 3.5 nights. So to say that we should not worry about Airbnb, no, it's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying that it's a different league, and it's corresponding to a need. And again, to finish with India, when we are talking about the disruptors, we were mentioning Oyo and Tribo. They are tackling a space where they were, to my knowledge, nobody of us today. They are tackling a space that belongs to $30 to $50. We, our economy brand, IBIS, is starting at $50 onwards. So today, they are tapping a space that was totally not covered. So that's probably, yes, there is a lot to learn about the disruptors. We need to watch out the disruptors because there is a lot to gain and to understand from them. But whether it's disrupting us today, no.
Well, Tribo has actually launched something called Tribo Select, which is for the 5-star space now, just recently. So they're coming into the top. They may not be as successful, but they're coming in to make a difference.
As I have said, I'm not sure that the gentleman from Tribo is in the room, I hope not. But from what I think is, Select, I said space is between $30 to $50. Select will go closer to $50, and this is where my space starts. I'm not saying that they're not going to gain marginally on that space, but this is what it is.
Samir, your space is there in the middle. How are you guys dealing, especially since your company is been there for a long time, but you're much more careful in your growth pattern compared to...
Look, again, if I just specifically talk about the company, going back to Jean-Michel's comments on how the customer profile might be slightly different while there is still an overlap in certain parts, I think it's not probably at a stage where it's affecting. It doesn't mean that we should be ignorant of the fact that it's going to affect it as people want to try more and more of the sharing economy, the sharing space, etc. I think we just need to take a step back and see why we're talking about disruption. So I think if I really look at disruption, we've always been in some mode of disruption or the other. I mean, we grew up saying change is the only constant. Today, probably disruption is the new normal. If I just think back about the industry in general, hoteliering has been a very traditional industry. We take a while to adapt to big changes. For years, we've had motels and inns on one side and city luxury hotels till somebody called Clemens Wilson came up with a Holiday Inn brand which changed the whole purpose of mid-scale and franchising, etc. I think we've had disruption before as well. If you look at the last 10, 15 years, there have been other factors. We are only focusing on Airbnb and Oyo at the moment. I think there are other factors of disruption. For example, till 10 years back, we never looked at F&B space as we look at it today. So today we are looking at F&B and saying, is it really productive to run a restaurant? Today we are talking about leasing out restaurants. Hoteliers would never think of leasing out restaurants. They'll rather commit suicide than leasing out their own restaurant. So I think while we are talking about Airbnb and Oyo, I think that's only one piece. There's a lot more, and I think Manav really covered it very well across all the perspectives relevant to our business, is what I would think. And hence, it would be not good to just look at one part.
Absolutely. Nikhil?
So I'm going to take a leaf from what Manav said and just give us a few statistics. Between the 3 large disruptors in the country, there are 86,000 keys. In the economy space, there are 8,000 keys, and in the mid-scale, there are 26,000 keys. So, are they moving up the ladder? Yes, they are. Oyo Townhouse, Tribo Select, anywhere between 2,500 to 5,000. Are they moving in the B2B space? Yes, they are. Oyo today has a 1,500 strong workforce doing B2B contracting in the country. Is Airbnb doing similar in the US? Yes, they are. Is Airbnb going to be in the luxury space? Well, we all know they are. Will there be an OTA with a 2 to 5% commission vis-a-vis a 25% commission to Expedia? Only time will tell. But the fact that I'm trying to make is they are here, they're going to stay, they're in the ecosystem. We need to not only survive and learn from them, we need to compete with them.
Mr. Chopra?
So I think 2 things. I'll put my plug in the end, okay, but I'll first talk about the room space really. So first of all, when you run traditional hotels, like I did till a month back, so I think there are different cycles of hospitality, and it's how anybody carves out a space. I think Airbnb did very well to carve out a space. I don't know whether you've read the book, but the book says that when you enter the office, the first 7 venture capitalists who saw Airbnb rejected them because they thought it was a stupid idea. Yeah. But all they were trying to even pitch when they started was that saying, you know, when you stay like a local, it's more experiential. And so, but people said, no, no, there are security issues, there are other issues. So that's actually the Airbnb story. Let's start with the story. So first of all, I think we get obsessed with what the media tries to project. Okay, I'll give you an example. Of all the budget aggregators, and some of them are my friends now that I'm more in the startup space, so I'll not take names. But if I had to stay in Mangalore for a night, okay, I went and stayed at a Taj Gateway at a price which was very close to some of the aggregators being named here, and the experience was absolutely amazing. Okay, at the same price. So I don't see a reason why I would move to another brand. I called nobody. I walked in as a normal customer. So it was not that I got a preferential price. So I think a lot of traditional hotels are doing a great job. I think what's really happened is, I'll tell you how startups think. Startups think exponentially. So when I'm trying to do something in the startup space, any guy who sees me says, Kapil, whatever you're thinking, think 10x. Okay, so that's the first wave they think. Let's talk about the space that everybody's talking about, Oyo and Tribo in that space. Now I know Ritesh phenomenally well from the days that he started, yeah. But I'll tell you something, I think any Ginger hotel is actually better, yeah, from a perspective. Now they've launched the townhouse, because you got to understand what are guests. Okay, if you ask anybody in this room, what are they looking for when they go into a budget hotel? They're looking for two things. They're looking for security. My stuff should not be stolen. And they're looking for cleanliness. Just these two criteria are the most important criteria for a budget hotel, which Ginger does phenomenally well. Yeah, so Gingers are great. The only problem is Ginger's not developed as they should have. Yeah, Ginger should have been 500 hotels by now. Okay, Formula 1 should have been 500 hotels by now. Yeah, Fairfield should have been 500 hotels by now. So I think everybody missed that space because they looked at traditional ways of taking a hotel license, developing a hotel. These guys came and started taking guest houses and started branding. Now the Oyo Townhouse is a product which actually guarantees you cleanliness and guarantees you security because they run the whole building. Earlier on, running 2 rooms doesn't guarantee me either cleanliness or doesn't guarantee me security. So I think now they're sorting the model out. So I think a lot of brands have done what they have done, except that they haven't thought of it exponentially. In the hospitality space of disruption that I saw personally, okay, and I said, okay, if I was to look at the hotel business very objectively and say, what is it that I do? I categorize the hotel business into 5 parts. Number 1 space is what I call commodity hospitality. Commodity hospitality is not a bad word. It's basically budget hospitality. Clean bed, clean room, good security, basic F&B. That's commodity. So anybody can replicate it. You can replicate it fast. All budget brands grow very fast because they can replicate the commodity. Yeah. Second space is great product. Great hotels being built. Yeah. Third space is great service. So some of the luxury hotel brands, let's say like this one, it's a nice hotel. It's a great product. The service is great. Yeah. That's great product, great service. Airbnb came out and said, there's a 4th pillar on hospitality. Beyond product, beyond service, beyond commodity, there is a 4th pillar which is experiential. Live like a local. You know, they put a photograph of Eiffel Tower, they put a guy on the bed or a lady on the bed and said, live there even for a day. Experiential, live like a local, experience the local senses. The 5th space, which Airbnb played around with 3 weeks back when they launched Airbnb Plus, or what Jean-Michel was referring to, or what Sanjay was referring to also, is they're now getting into the luxury segment, okay, is basically what I call transformative hospitality space. That space has not been taken by Airbnb. That space has not been taken by anybody else, which is, I'll give you great product, I'll give you great service, and you can still live like a local. Okay? And that, I think, is transformational hospitality. And that is the 5th pillar. A lot of brands you will see are now evolving to that pillar, including Accor. Accor just bought over One Fine Stay, which actually plays in this transformation category. £1,000 a night in London, choose from the best residences, it's all serviced. Somebody meets you at check-in, tells you what time do you want your housekeeping, you have F&B options close by or whatever. So I think that's the 5th pillar, which will form the basis of future disruption in this place. Is Airbnb in the luxury space? Of course it is. Look at Goa. Just, if you can put out your Airbnb app, pull out your app, put a filter, price filter of 25,000. The most expensive hotel in Goa right now, I think, is W at a 19,000 year-to-date average room rate. So you go 25% over the W at 25,000, and you will see that there are 300 homes on Airbnb, as I speak to you now, over 25,000. So it is today the largest luxury operator in Goa, which is your most robust hotel market.
In India especially, we have a lot of people joining the market who are unaware of global brands. For them, a Tribo and a Novotel may mean the same thing. I know, because one is an established hospitality brand, but someone coming in new. So what are you doing about the new customers for which disruption doesn't really mean anything? A hotel is a hotel. They're looking at it from the first point of view. They may be able to spend 5,000, 6,000 rupees.
So I don't really think I agree with that statement. You know, a person using a Novotel brand or a luxury brand is not the same individual that is really using a Tribo or a Airbnb. You know, I don't know how my colleagues in the luxury space feel, but that is probably a little true to our segment, which operates in the mid-scale to the budget segment. But I think you know, like I earlier said, the security and the safety and the cleanliness that a brand offers or a brand stands for, that is at this point questionable. And I think, you know, in course of time, the OYOs and the Airbnbs and these disruptors or aggregators, so to say, will embrace that aspect also, and, you know, step up to the occasion and deliver that too. And likewise, I think the hotel industry also will start, you know, like Accor's already moved into one fine stay. The other hotel companies are also moving into that space. So it's will be interesting to see how this whole space really evolves as we move forward.
For the new customer, you are competing at par with a lot of companies which are considered to be disruptors. How are you dealing with it, or how are you changing the way that your brand is shown to them? Because their idea of what they think and what they need is very different from, say, even our generation.
But as Kapil was saying, you're selling to your customer an experience, and then you have a connect with your customers. First of all, the good news is, contrary to what many people may think, Airbnb is on the decline. It's on the decline for two reasons, because they are themselves disrupted. Not only disrupted by new competitors coming on the playground, but as well because some cities now are taking stern action against them because they are abused in terms of paying taxes and all these things. And thirdly, if you were going in Airbnb, it's precisely to have the contact. You're going in Paris, you want to be received by Maurice in his own flat, and then he will have a bottle of the best wine and tell you should do this and that and go there and there. Today, go to Paris to Airbnb, you don't see any single person, you don't have any single contact, and then you're being given by an application, you're being given the DG code, and then you arrive, you mark your DG code, but you don't see anybody. So that connection is not existing any longer. And where we really, so again, distributors, it's nice. It allows us to, it compels us to change. And many of us have changed, and then it's very important for us, we try to understand what they do and how they evolve, for us to evolve, to evolve as well. And this is really the beauty of these distributors. But these distributors will be disrupted themselves. And at the end of the day, I really believe that the communication that you have with the customers, it's really what is going to matter. Because you have whatever product, you can be a Novotel, you can be an Oberoi, you can be an Andaz, whatever. What is important for the customers as well is the connect, the emotional connect, at whatever budget you are able to establish with your customers. And this, not only the seamless journey we have maybe learned from the digital and from the disruptors, but that emotional connect and the sensation you can provide to customers, to me it's key. And that's really where we can mark our difference.
But how faithful is the Indian customer?
The Indian customer is still very loyal compared to many other nationalities, given that Indians still believe a lot in relationships. And it takes a while to build that relationship. Of course, you can break it very quickly, but Indians are a lot more emotional in that sense than many other nationalities. And I can say that a lot more confidently, given that I've worked in multiple countries. I think that gives the advantage to a lot of brands in that sense, because you are able to give the feel of consistency and the confidence that the customer looks for, exactly like he said about security, right? So that's just one part of it. So that really is what hotel companies will keep going back to. to try and say that's what I am better than everybody else at. I think where hotel companies probably missed or took it a bit more overconfidently is the way they approached or the way hotel companies approached technology compared to every other new disruptor. So hotel companies are a lot more traditional when it comes to technology. And a simple one is the digital space or the digital marketing. So if you look at the amount of money hotels spend today on OTA commissions, and you look at the amount of money they spend on their own digital marketing, it's not comparable. So that's probably something which has started changing in the last 3, 4, 5 years. You see hotel companies reacting a lot better to the way they look at digital marketing, etc.
Yeah, when we look at it, we look at 2 points. One is, what's the need of customer? How is business done in India? It's all about emotions. And it's also about aspiration. So today, I think from a disruptor point of view, market is still not matured here, because here our guests are still, some of them, are still aspirational, and they will look for a brand rather than going into places like an Oyo or Airbnb. So I think loyalty will still remain till the time we can take care of the emotions of our guests, and we can really look at what they actually need. So if we can take care of the needs of our guests in ways and means we can do, I think we will be okay. We'll be all right.
The market for the aggregators like Oyo and AME is very different from what's sitting in this room. That 20 to 30, 35-year-old is not really conscious as much of the brand. The younger generation, they want to be, they make their plans last minute. They want it quick. And one of the disadvantages that hotels have and will continue to have, and I talk from not my hotel or any all hotel brands, is that we can't be everywhere. Airbnb and Oyo rooms have the flexibility of having rooms practically in every lane, and they are easy to access. A budget and economy travelers, finds it very easy to say, I want to be as close to the Eiffel Tower as I want, and a hotel cannot get as close as one of these guys can get their rooms up there, over there. So I think that, and the markets are very different right now. It's changing. And I know a lot of corporates that have started using Airbnbs, just like a lot of corporates have stopped using traditional hotels, have stopped using taxis as their sales tool. They all moved. A lot of them have moved to Ubers. It's cheaper, it's quicker, and it won't be long before they just give that that card or whatever that window is to the executive to say, do your own hotel rooms.
This is for people in the luxury space and those who worked in the luxury space. Do you think luxury hospitality is the last bastion that still stands against the so-called disruption forces? Kapil, start with you. Since till 1 month ago, you were in the space. Okay,
so like I told you, it's level 5. It's the bastion that's going to be taken out. I think stays will become transformative. Newer brands will experiment with hotels, villas, and resorts, and they'll experiment with hotels, villas, and luxury tents. So I think that game could take it to a totally different level. I think that space is going to get disrupted.
So how is luxury going to deal with it?
No, I think you see, what is luxury? Luxury is as personalized as you can get. Luxury is as much time as I can give you, and you don't have to worry about water coming, not coming, or basic necessities not being met. So I think anybody can get into the luxury space for that matter, and that's what I feel. As long as you have a great product, great service, and you're able to provide an experience. There are 3 tenets of it. If your product is bad, you can't be in the luxury space. If your product's good, your service is bad, can't be in the luxury space. If your product's good, your service is good, and you can still provide some great experiences, you are pretty much there in the luxury space. I think those are the 3 pillars of luxury hoteliering.
Yeah, but I don't know why when we speak about disruptors all the time, we try to oppose one to the other. Kapil says rightly, what is the experience in luxury hotel? But the customer you may have today in your luxury hotel, he may need tomorrow some privacy with a family in a form of a villa and to be by himself, whereby we, One Fine Stay, will provide that. We'll provide that along with services, F&B a la carte, and then a virtual concierge that you can have on call and all that. So it's different period of time. That customer will still be in that space and very happy to be in that space. It will not change. And then from time to time, he will opt for something else. So it's not one that is that much disrupting the other. It's just different behavior at different moments of time. That's what
I agree.
into it.
I think he's right. Because I'm using my own car, but in the evening I could use an Uber also. It's the same thing. It's but you're just adding a new dimension to it. And how fast that dimension grows compared to a traditional company is the take actually going forward, really. And I think also, you know, because just look at our discussion right now. We're talking about disruption, okay? And now I'll put in my plug, because my current title, okay? But my thing is, you're all talking about rooms, correct? All of the time we talk about rooms. Think about a hotel. There's so many GMs in the room. Think about a hotel morning meeting. How does a morning meeting go? What was your occupancy last night? What was the average room rate? Okay? In restaurants, you talk about how many covers did you do and what was the sale of the restaurant. Nobody looks at restaurant occupancy saying, even in the busiest of restaurants, talk to me about the 10 most busiest restaurants in Delhi, I can give you real, or in India, I can give you real stats. The 7:30 p.m. slot is vacant. How are you filling that up? That seat is gone. Airlines do such phenomenal amount of revenue management. I think hotel restaurants have become, much more relaxed. Okay, why? Because heat, light and power is free. Unallocated expenses are never accounted for properly. Some people say, yeah, we do it in the P&L, but nobody really does it to the T. So standalone restaurants are coming in. They're doing a better job of it. Great assets are lying unoccupied. Means there is no fine dining restaurant, for example, right now in Delhi, none, which will be full for lunch today. What full? Will not do even 50%. What happens to that revenue? And I think so, like in rooms, and we're not the only guys doing it, but at Easy Diner, we're just trying to maximize that revenue. But there are so many other people who are trying to do that. Okay, because I think food and beverage is now coming off its own age. Means I was reading the Open Table story in the US, and for the first 3 years, they kept on losing money, they kept on losing money, they kept on losing money. But I'll just give an example. Over 60 million diners booked online in the US last month. And this number in India is just minuscule. Once you start reducing the friction between the diner and the restaurant, these numbers will keep on going up. The bigger challenge today, and like rightly my friend here said, that hotels do not embrace technology. Even today when we speak to hotels, it's like we're speaking to them about Mars. Okay? And I think it's high time that we start maximizing our assets. Just think about it intrinsically. Just think about our hospitality industry intrinsically. The return on capital employed, if you want to do a hotel like this today in Gurgaon, is severely negative. Is severely negative. Buy this land next to Ambience Mall at the market price, build a hotel and make money on it. You can't. So who's making money in hotels? People who have historic land assets. The Oberoi Gurgaon and the Trident Gurgaon land was bought in 1982. Try and buy it today. Okay? So I think, and an entire industry cannot be in a return on capital employed negative. I think as hoteliers, whether it's rooms, whether it's food and beverage, whether it's other areas, everybody needs to look at whether they disrupt or they innovate, two options, okay? But they need to start sweating the assets more so that the returns are more profitable. Means with 3 or 4 major hotel chains in this country, okay, 1 or 2 are already on sale big time. Okay, and I think that is not good for the entire industry. That's the way that I look at it. And that market share, or whatever it may be. So for example, earlier on, when I went to Goa, I only had a choice of staying at branded hotels. Today I have Airbnb. Today there could be a new brand also coming in. So the market share of the entire branded industry, which was 100, is now maybe 97. Next year maybe 95. Next year maybe 92. And the profits are declining. And the land costs are making it prohibitive for you to put up more hotels. And you have other guys start disrupting the space. So either you start innovating or you're going to perish soon. That's the way that I look at it.
What is your the biggest disruptor for you in the market right now, and what are you doing about it?
I think the biggest disruptor for us is the same, the Airbnb in the OYO rooms, because this is where we, 70% of our business is in the mid-scale and economy space. And as much as we don't want to believe it, it is eating into a market share. What we are doing about it is really, like I said again, we as a brand can really stand for the safety, the security, the cleanliness, and that is what we are really offering to our, and we kind of hammering that down, saying that you really buy into what you're seeing. So there's no surprises when you come to a hotel like ours or any of our franchisees, because stand for very, very simple stuff, safety, security, and cleanliness. Yeah. So that's what we are really, banking on.
I think it's the mindset and the legacy. If you ask what is disruption, disruption is human mind or human intelligence creatively having fun. That's what disruption is, right? And if brands like us, like for example Hyatt, what did we do with Andaz? We were having fun. And that's what can be a great disruption, and a disruption which can be very, very welcome, because we need to be more creative and have fun and be, it's using the human intelligence, because yes, we talk about artificial intelligence, but created by who? Human intelligence, right? So if human intelligence can be utilized to be creative and to have fun, I think disruptors is just the mindset.
We really need to keep our eyes open regarding what is going to be the next disruptor, because obviously we don't know today as we speak. Yesterday I was watching a movie on my iPad. It's a movie called Okja. This movie, you will never ever see it on television. You will never ever see it in a movie theater. It's the first movie that has been entirely produced for the web, that is distributed by Netflix, financed by Netflix, and you will never ever see that on the movie. So guess the kind of disruption that it is for that industry. So for us, what is next to come, we don't know. But we have been able to evolve thanks to some of the disruptors. We became ourselves a disruptor by its own, and then we are really welcoming such disruptors. So we need to keep all our eyes wide open and to be able to adapt. We need to be agile. We need to be doing fast, to be remaining ahead of the curve, and I believe we can do that. But also, what is important for me, and where we should make the journey different, we are seeing our customers. Our customers do see us. Is that the same in the rest of with the disruptors? No, it's not happening. We are developing, guys here in this room, we are developing for the industry of tomorrow new generation leaders. We are, all of us, we are investing in the countries, in the tourism infrastructure, than the disruptors are not doing. So indeed, there is a return of investment that Kapil was mentioning. But this is key. We are so much different. It's just enough that we need to be understanding what is happening so that we can take a quick shift, and then we'll be happy, and we'll continue being happy for the next many years.
So I think given the markets we play in as a brand, and given the legacy of the brand, I think one, we can say we are in good space today because we drive fairly high ROCE to our owners, and that's great. Having said that, we need to be conscious of what's coming up. Taking a leaf out of JMC's comment on Netflix, many years back Netflix took over everything Blockbuster was controlling. For us in hotels, this is probably a blockbuster moment if we don't react. And I think there are a few things we should be as hoteliers doing. One is, of course, being more passionate about driving great experiences to our guests and building the personalization, all the more in India, because that can really help you build on your loyalty. So that's the first part. The second one is being a lot more open to accepting technology. I think generally we are quite behind the rest of the curve on technology. And some points Manav shared was on use of artificial intelligence, whether it's with hiring people. I was talking to a friend of mine who runs a startup in Singapore, and he's got this artificial intelligence concept into hiring. So everything you need can be done in a much faster pace. So how do we bring that? We struggle to hire people. We don't even know where those CVs are. A lot of us still have 100-odd CVs in the drawers. So I think just bringing technology a lot more. And I think we need to be more open to review our own operational feasibility, whether it's going back to the point I made on food and beverage space, whether it's going back to looking at what segments we operate in, and pretty much keeping ourselves agile is what I would say.
Is this going to be the finally Ginger is going to take off with hundreds of hotels?
Well, in the space that we operate in, and we are learning from the disruptors, mass personalization being an example, because we are traditional hoteliers, we looked at reservation confirmation, for example, the way it's done traditionally in hotels. When you look at the disruptors, and I actually checked into an OYO townhouse, the day of the check-in, they actually send you an SMS, please give us a missed call if you're checking into the hotel or not. So they're using technology in such a beautiful fashion, and it's non-intrusive, if I can say that. I don't get a call if I'm in a meeting, sir, are you checking into the hotel? What time are you checking in? So those are the learnings that we need to definitely have, and I'm looking forward to Siddharth speaking in the second half today from Tribo. Hopefully he will have some learnings for us as traditional hoteliers and how we can really adopt technology to the next level.
So I think you asked me a question earlier on what spaces are available. So I think, surprisingly, neither any of these budget guys or whatever, disruptors or whatever, or any of the established chains or any of the international chains, nobody's really done, what I call move from, in the budget space, from commodity to great product, really. Actually, nobody's done that leap from 1 to 2. Where is the coolest, sexiest design budget hotel in this country? That space is totally vacant. Yeah, so like Citizen M, I had a very interesting conversation once with Ritesh Agarwal at Oyo, okay, and there's a lot to learn from Ritesh, he's a very bright guy. And I was talking to him about Easy Diner. He said, sir, we are at Oyo at the budget level. Nobody says that you stay at an Oyo. I was staying at an Oyo last night. He's saying, but you get me into the top restaurants, so your referral should be stronger than mine. Because people say, I got this restaurant through Easy Diner. They're trying to flaunt it. Nobody flaunts an Oyo. Yeah, because, say, I was staying at a nice hotel, but you don't want to talk about it. If I'm staying at Andaz, I'll say, yeah, I'm staying at Andaz. Yeah, so it's a market perception. Why can't I have, or somebody develop a design, budget, great, sexy hotel? Why does it have to be boring budget hotels in this country? Okay, that entire space is vacant. It doesn't need to be disrupted. Somebody needs to innovate. So I think that space is vacant. I think the entire resort space is vacant. Okay, and all I can give as a clue is that maybe I'll look at one of these two places one day. Yeah, myself, because I think the entire space is vacant. The idea of a holiday is not to check into a 5-star hotel, go to a sterile hotel room, come down to the pool, have 2 beers, have some snacks, go back and sleep, get up in the evening again, go to the bar, go out for dinner, come back, sleep, stay like this for 2 nights and go. It's passe. Nobody's innovated into the new resort experience. Nobody's innovated into the budget city hotel experience. Like, for example, take Andaz to an economy budget level. Nobody's done A, for example, as a cool budget hotel at 4,000 rupees, 3,500 rupees. Most of the budget hotel brands are the brands that you don't want to tell anybody that you stayed at. So I think that aspirational budget design hotel space is vacant. 2 things in the accommodation space and then the F&B space. I don't think people have used data properly. Just look at 99% of the hotels, including all luxury hotels that I've worked in, take reservations on a piece of paper and a pen. Okay? Once that register fills up, everybody takes the register, throws it into a storeroom, or it gets burnt, or it gets sold as garbage. Nobody is digitizing their reservations so that tomorrow the power of marketing comes into the hands of the restaurant manager. That's something that we are working on separately. Okay, because I think a lot of data on dining has just gone waste over the years. Okay, means ask anybody how many data dining records that you have. You know who does a great job in keeping data dining records? That this entire industry could learn from? Chayos. Go to a Chayos, they'll give you an iPad saying, sir, if you just enter your name, telephone number and email, I'll give you a free tea the next time you come. So a tea cafe does a phenomenal job of data mining. Just take my test. Choose a hotel, go there right now, they'll be running a dairy and a pen. You guys need to digitize your F&B reservations. I should, as a restaurant manager, have the power to say, I want to now send a special offer of 20% off or for my Easter brunch to everybody who's dined with me in the last 6 months, and everybody who's only come for dinner, or everybody who's come in on only weekends, and I should be able to do that in 60 seconds. That's the test. If you can't do that level of data mining in 60 seconds, what Chayos can do, then one day Chayos is going to come into your outlet and rebrand it as Chayos, Chayos Select, Chayos Premier. That's what's going to happen to you. That's the reality.